A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, in between, good, everything good. Dearest beloved divine friends, salam, namaste, peace and blessings of God be with one and all. Me, your brother Haji, Dr. Roshan Khan, in the raw, with another in RK's Guyana free media. This is taken today from Thursday, November 12th, 2020, the Freddie Kissoon column of the Kaieteur News. And I wish to ask those who have prejudices to try to open up your hearts and to look at who might be your favorite or a leader that you truly love and you might be a maniac for, to think and truly comprehend the truth and the reality and facts, and don't speak just out of emotion of prejudice, or think out of emotion of prejudice, but also think in righteousness, in fairness, in justice. Here today, or yesterday actually, of Thursday, November 12, 2020, the Freddie Kissoon column of Kaieteur News. And I want to appeal to a man who always seemed to have a grudge, a hate, a pain upon me and generally people like me most times, unless you're a maniac for him. And I'm speaking of without any recrimination, without any ill feeling, because my heart is always pure regardless of what you do to me. And I'm speaking of Joseph Harmon, the leader of the opposition, whom to my opinion I believe is truly not a true patriot. I'm putting out to you there, he's not a true patriot and he has a very weak heart, Mr. Harmon. And I wish he would listen to these words that I'm saying out of positive ways. He did so many things to try to destroy me in business, even when he was in power, trying to destroy my legacy, trying to affect and disaffect and possibly wipe me out in every sphere possible. But you know, these people are leave onto their own, and then you see what the universe does to themselves through them. Then he wrote the letter, he went and he paid some people to go and protest against me. Little does he realize he actually was doing a favor for me, Mr. Harmon. You actually was doing a favor to me when you were trying to humiliate and embarrass me. When you do wrong things, the wrong turns good for the people that you try to perpetuate the hate or the hurt on. Then you went on a press conference and mentioned my name, and you could not take my challenge to debate your words versus my words. And we will have some retired judges or the people in general on a free internet and television and radio access to be the judges. Who said the nastiest and who said the most positive things in the West Coast Berbice massacre, burning, lootings, rapes, robberies, hurts, and more arsons on people's lumberyard and homes and their lorries and their trucks, and fill up of a particular set of women of a particular ethnicity, and then giving the people pluck, Mr. Harmon, friends and families, to tell them that their cause is just, that what they're doing is right, that their response was correct. So I challenge him for a debate versus my beautiful words for self-protection and to protect others, but he couldn't take it. So what he did, he called others overseas, his psychopaths that he controlled, especially at that time with lots of money, in government and out of government, and others are locally and their friends and families to try to critique me, but instead put himself to big-time shame. Then he wrote the Prime Minister that they need to fire me or eliminate me. Well, you know, these prime ministers and the presidents, particularly of this government, they are people of great wisdom, experience, and intellect. They would know if you say something bad, Mr. Harmon, about somebody, it means the person is good. I think so. This is what I gather. It means the person is good. And so, friends and families, I just wanted to share that to him, and many things that he did that was not right to my opinion, and with a particular set of business people, particularly of the Indo-Guyanese grouping that he embraced for whatever purposes. I'm not saying anything. Your imagination is left open to imagine. But he embraced them for a particular reason. But friends and families, here Freddie Kissoon is saying the incomprehensible stupidities that cost the APNU and the AFC. And I'll tell you, he's one of them, and Ramjatan and Moses Nagamoto are others who really affected and put the APNU in trouble. I've always been a friend of the PNC since then, Simon Hoyt, and a friend of the PPPC forever. And my friendship and my open heart and beautiful thoughts and minds will always be there for cohesion, national unity, goodwill, love, harmony, and joy. Let's leave out people like Lincoln Lewis, Freddie Kissoon says. And this is a Freddie Kissoon thing. And all I'm doing most times is reading, ladies and gentlemen, why is this man and some of his acolytes and his satellites so terrified of me, when in reality I believe in a one human family under God, a united humanity, a peace, a goodwill, a love, a joy, and a harmony. Friends and families, why is this man and some of his acolytes and his satellites so terrified of me? I can't understand, and little does he know he's actually empowering me with his hate. Let's leave out people like Lincoln Lewis, who, though he was a fanatical endorser of the election rigging, never had power in the APNU+AFC regime, but inside, in the 5 years of power, existed the activism of people like Dr. David Hines, Dr. Clive Thomas, Dr. Morris Odell, Dr. Rupert Rupnarine, Takuma Gunseye, and others who were once close to Walter Rodney. Their party, the WPA, was living in the corridors of power. So the WPA was in the corridors of power. But I would like to say a toothless participant in the corridors of power. Freddie Kissoon continues. Dr. Thomas gave a recent interview at a Boston-based online news entity named Village Voice, in which he voiced criticism of how the APNU and AFC administration approached the sugar industry. Well, I've been talking about that all the time. It made a humongous error. The first, ladies and gentlemen, of gross stupidities that cost them the election, and did not allow the people who were controlling those set of people in their party, the AFC, to take some proposals and consultation to the people. Back to the article. The obvious question is, what was his political approach to these mistakes? He had to know that those mistakes will be highlighted by the opposition in periodic elections. But more importantly, Dr. Thomas came into power as one of the Caribbean's most experienced academics in economics, with vast publications and with practical experience, since he was once consulted by the Jamaican Prime Minister Michael Manley to have Dr. Thomas in your government and Winston Jordan as finance minister. Without Dr. Thomas empowered to advise Jordan, had to be an unforgivable act of stupidity on the part of former President David Granger. I added, out of respect former president. He doesn't have that here. So technically he's saying not allowing him to be one of the main advisors and architect within the Ministry of Finance of Winston Jordan was total unforgivable stupidity. Only a racist would categorize Granger as a competent president. So only someone of his ethnicity would say that Granger was a proper and a good president. On with the article. My take on him is that between him and Donald Ramotar in terms of competence, Ramotar far exceeds him. So in actual fact, I'm saying he is at the bottom of the comparison of the 7 previous presidents, including the short stint of Sam Hines. Let's digress for a moment before we return to the caption of this column. So he's going to discuss, bring in some other pertinent aspects. Tell me if this is competence. In 2018, the AFC competed in local government elections on its own. It failed to win 1 local government authority out of 38 that it contested. In 2020, the very villages, districts and towns that rejected the AFC in 2018 did so again. So they got nothing, the AFC, ladies and gentlemen. I repeat, nothing. What a total pain and disgrace and shame, if you ask me. The PNC has the statements of poll in every conceivable village populated by a majority of East Indian throughout Guyana. The entity named APNU+AFC lost, including in the hometown of Ramjatan of number 48 village in Berbice, and Moses Nagamutu birthplace win also in Berbice. So the AFC even lost the 2020 elections, even if the hometown of their own leaders. That's what I'm saying. For them to have all the seats that they have in Parliament, the Granger government, the opposition leader, have to be very kind and charitable to keep them with all those seats in there when they could not have won even 1 seat on their own. That is the APNU+AFC. Back to the article. Yet Granger conceded 9 parliamentary seats equivalent to 60,000 votes to the AFC in 2020. So, precisely what I'm saying. Granger gave them 9 seats, ladies and gentlemen, and they didn't win 1. That Granger got to be a good, kind man and also maybe tactical to hold them, because in some misconceived way, thinking that they have sway or will have sway over a set of people, but the Indo-Guyanese people completely detest Moses Nagamutu. Sad for him that he has destroyed a great legacy and even caused me to lose the great love and respect I had for him since my childhood. Back to the article. Raphael Trotman, Ramjatan and David Patterson from 2006 returned to Parliament in 2020, but not Volder Lawrence, the deputy leader of Granger's party, the PNC. It is doubtful that Granger will win in a fair voting system, that leadership of the PNC, in the leadership of the PNC over Lawrence. Let's return to the colleagues of Walter Rodney in the government of APNU and AFC and the title of this column. So he's also saying, because of the gross stupidities, ladies and gentlemen, and friends and families, it is obvious that if former President David Granger is to contest the leadership of the People's National Congress leadership with Lawrence, he is of the opinion that Lawrence would win, unless it is rigged. And it is known that in that party they usually have serious rigging, and that is why it is alleged by many pundits in politics that David Granger won through a rigging process that was instituted to ensure that he won the leadership of the People's National Congress. Back to the article, and he's going now to his column. The 2020 budget has been passed in the House, and many of the stupidities in the economic policies of the APNU and AFC have been removed. So APNU-AFC budget was gross stupidity, and if you ask me, total nonsensicality. I saved them for a while when I protested against VAT on education, but still the damage was so done that the youths who were coming of age would not vote for them. ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. That's why they lost the election. Gross stupidity. Putting VAT on education, putting VAT on educational items. The PPPC government has done absolutely right. And I know this reading I'm doing here is going to hurt the heart. And this man might have many sleepless nights, and he might go write another letter, maybe this time to the media, or something else to attack me. But little does he know, when he does these things, I'm smiling and happy, because the evil that he put out, Mr. Harmon, is good for me, because it turns into blessings. So their stupidities were removed. Let's expose Dr. Thomas, and what can be regarded as one of the most monumental display of political hypocrisy in the history of Guyana. Dr. Thomas went to Buxton to speak at an indoor meeting as part of the WPA. He told his audience the government shall give 5,000 American in cash from oil revenues to poorer families. The same Dr. Thomas and his Rodneyite colleagues were part of a government that raised by over 100% the license for hucksters and donkey carts and horse carts. The VAT was put on electricity. Second-hand, the tires were banned. Dr. Thomas knew we had a donkey cart. Dr. Thomas knew, according to Freddie Kissoon, that we had a donkey cart for an economy. So he wanted 5,000 for low-income folks, but donkey cart and the horse cart owner are very poor people. Dr. Thomas and the WPA contingent in the APNU+AFC had to know working people will be affected by the banning of second-hand tires. So he's technically saying the donkey cart economy that's affecting people, those people who are operating donkey carts, old vehicles, and vehicles in general, even wealthy people try to save some money. Banning the second-hand tire was a curse. And Dr. Thomas realized that $5,000 per year, US, $1 million, would bolster people's confidence to do something to their home or their family, or to take out some kind of installment on a good car, or help to boost their mortgage, or invest in a home or something of that sort. So friends and families, ladies and gentlemen, Freddie Kissoon again is the boss when it comes to journalism, political analysis. He doesn't say he's a historian, but he's also good in history and a true Guyanese patriot. The tires were worn, so the publisher Glenlal asked his friend on Regent Street, who sells new tires, to afford me the facility of buying 4 and pay later. That he could not get 4 tires himself. He couldn't afford it, the poor guy. That's Freddie Kissoon. He's a poor guy, you know, and he's never a money-hungry guy. So we got to give Freddie Kissoon some credit, and a realist. So Glenn Galal had to pull some strings to help the poor guy to get 4 tires for his car. Months after, Glenlal said, "The man call me and pay the man yet for tires." So he said, Glenlal tell you, the man call me, you pay the man yet for tires? I simply forgot, so I went to pay. I died, and post-mortem brought me back alive. He said my bill was $140,000, and he took off $20,000. The man was right in his billing. So the man took $20,000 off, helped him. And he had a heart attack, and he died. That is Freddie Kissoon. And the post-mortem brought him back to life. Oh my God. But I mean, a new tire for a RAV4 was, and maybe still is, $35,000. After that, I bought used tires from dealers who took $2,000 off of each, which cost $10,000 each. From there on, I spent $32,000 periodically for my tires. I swear on my parents' grave, this is the truth. I am glad Jordan, Dr. Thomas, and Granger are gone from the power force. But Dr. Thomas in fairness, Freddie, try and has been trying, so am I, that the people of this country, every citizen who work and contribute and live in this country should get the 5,000 US dollars or 1 million Guyana dollars. Friends and families, these are the realities of life. And so I send you this missive, this message that I read from Freddie Kissoon, hoping that the opposition leader will not get a heart attack out of the reading, and that he will not try to destroy me. But if he wants to try to destroy me, to please be my guest and realize when you're trying to destroy me, you're destroying yourself. That does always work, I believe, in a one government. I wish that the opposition can grow up and cause the government of the day to feel comfortable with them. You can't want to hate, to destroy, decimate, overthrow, bring down, denigrate the government of the day, and you want to be part of the government. It can't work, beloved, divine friends and families. And like I said, it just can't and it will not work. This is the reality of positive thought. So my advice to him is to humble yourself, accept the fact that you lost the election, embrace the government, apologize for the shenanigans and the nastiness that you threatened, and work for the good and the better of Guyana. And maybe the government will want to think that you have grown up, and a positive opposition that they will want to work urgently for a change in our constitution amendment that we'll have, or a true coalition government. But you have to develop the trust and faith of the government of the day. Government of the day, you got to make it accessible and possible so that they can feel comfortable to walk to you. And God tells us in the Quran, Mr. President, you make one step towards God Almighty, Allah, and He will make 10 steps to you. You walk to God Almighty and He will come running to you. But of course, the person who wants God to run to them, in this case the government, has to make it convenient for the government to trust them, to work for a developed, good Guyana. Friends and family, your friend, your brother, me, Haji Dr. Ocean Khan, saying thank you for tuning into this, the RKE's Guyana Free Media. As I say to you, farewell, friend.